Hey folks, welcome back. Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked away from someone thinking they wouldn't even notice, only to find out later that it hit them way harder than you ever expected? At first, it looks like they're fine, maybe even better off without you. They post like nothing happened, they act like they've moved on, and for a while you start to wonder, did I even matter? Was I just another option to them? But here's the thing, people don't feel the loss immediately. They don't realize what's missing until it's too late. See, they were comfortable. They assumed you'd always be there, that they could check in whenever they wanted, that they had time to figure things out. But then one day, it hits them. They reach for their phone, ready to send a message, and for the first time, they hesitate. Because deep down, they know you're not there anymore. And that moment, that's when everything changes. In this video, we're breaking down exactly why this happens, when it happens, and how you can shift your mindset so that by the time they finally wake up, you won't even care anymore. And it all starts with the moment everything breaks, the point when they realize you were never going to wait forever. Let's get started. Number 1. The breakup, when illusions shatter. Hey folks, let's talk about the moment they think they've won. You know the one I'm talking about. When they walk away, acting like leaving you behind was the easiest decision they've ever made. Maybe they seem relieved. Maybe they even look happier. And for a while, you start questioning yourself. Was I that easy to forget? Was I really just an option to them? But here's what they don't realize. That relief is temporary. See, when someone leaves, they don't feel the loss right away. They feel freedom first. That's the high they ride on in the beginning. They believe they're in control, that they made the right choice, and that they have all the time in the world to figure things out. And why wouldn't they? In their mind, you're still there, lingering, waiting, checking in, holding on to hope. They assume you're still emotionally attached. And as long as they believe that, they feel no urgency. They don't miss you, because they think they don't have to. But then something happens. You go silent. No messages, no calls, no subtle reminders that you still exist in their world. And that's when the illusion starts to crack. At first, they dismiss it. You're just giving them space. They tell themselves you'll come back eventually, that it's only a matter of time. They carry on, feeling confident that nothing has really changed. But as the days stretch into weeks, as the silence grows louder, they start to notice something's different. Now, doubt creeps in. They reach for their phone, expecting to see your name pop up. Nothing. They check your social media, expecting to feel your presence. Instead, it's like you've vanished. That's when their mind starts racing. Wait, have they really moved on? See, when people break up with you, they don't actually expect you to disappear. They expect you to struggle, to keep an emotional tie to them, to eventually break the silence and check in. And when you don't, that's when reality sets in. Now, suddenly, they're replaying the breakup in their mind. Maybe they assumed you'd always be there, that they had the upper hand. But now, they're not so sure anymore. And here's where the real shift happens. Because at this stage, they won't admit it. They still have their ego. They still want to believe that walking away was the right choice. But beneath all of that, they feel the void you left. They start noticing the little things, the missing texts, the lack of attention, the silence where your voice used to be. At first, it's just a passing thought. But then, as time stretches on, it becomes something they can't ignore. And before they even realize it, you're in their head more than ever before. This is when reality punches them in the gut. Because people don't truly feel loss until they realize it's permanent. And here's the irony. By the time they realize it, you've already moved forward. See, when you walk away and actually focus on yourself, something shifts. You stop waiting for them to notice. You stop hoping for closure. And you start becoming someone they never expected you to be, completely indifferent. And that's where the power is. Because when you no longer care, when you stop needing their validation, they lose the control they thought they had. And the worst part? Now they're the ones stuck wondering, and this isn't about revenge. This isn't about playing games. This is about self-respect. The moment you realize that someone's absence didn't break you, that you never needed them in the first place, that's when you understand the ultimate truth. You were never the one who lost anything. Now, does this mean they'll come running back? Maybe. Maybe not. But that's not even the point. The point is, you won't even need them to. You won't need closure. You won't need an apology. And you won't need them to finally see your worth. Because you already do. And that's when they feel what you once felt. So, Stoic friends, if you've ever been in this situation, if you've walked away and stayed away, drop a comment below and type, "I don't look back." Say it. Own it. And let them feel what they once made you feel. And if you're ready to keep stepping into your power, hit that subscribe button and stick around. Because what happens next? That's when they start thinking about reaching out. And trust me, that's a game changer. Let's keep going. Number 2, the turning point, the last message. Hey folks, let's talk about the exact moment everything shifts. The last message. Because whether you realize it or not, the way you handle that final interaction can change everything. It's the moment that sticks with them, the moment that determines whether they move on feeling in control, or whether, days or weeks later, they suddenly realize you're actually gone. See, most people handle the last conversation completely wrong. They beg, they plead, they pour out their emotions, hoping that if they just say the right thing, if they just explain how much they care, the other person will finally understand. But that never works. In fact, it does the opposite. The more you try to make them see your worth, the less valuable you appear. Because here's the truth, real impact doesn't come from words. It comes from silence. Let's say you've just had a breakup. Maybe they ended things. Maybe you did. Either way, the conversation is closing. And here's where most people slip up. They feel this overwhelming urge to have the perfect last message. Something deep, something meaningful, something that makes the other person realize what they're losing. But what if I told you that the most powerful last message isn't a message at all? Imagine this. They're expecting you to say something emotional, something dramatic. Maybe they're even waiting for you to fight for them. But instead, you simply say, "I understand. Take care." And then, nothing. No follow-ups. No paragraphs explaining your side. No desperate attempts to get them to reconsider. Just silence. And that hits differently. Because now, they're left wondering. They expected resistance. They expected you to try and hold on. And when you don't, they don't know how to process it. At first, they might brush it off. Okay, cool. That was easy. They go about their life, feeling like they had the upper hand. But then, as time passes, something starts eating away at them. Why didn't they fight for this? Were they not as invested as I thought? Did I just lose someone important? And before they even realize it, you're in their head. Because people expect closure to be emotional. They expect tension, back and forths, drawn-out conversations. But when you simply accept things and disappear, that's when they start questioning everything. Now, let me be clear. This isn't about playing games. This isn't about trying to manipulate them into missing you. This is about self-respect. It's about understanding that your value doesn't decrease just because someone else doesn't see it. And here's where it gets even more powerful. Your last message isn't just for them. It's for you. Because the moment you send that final, calm, collected response and walk away, you take your power back. You're no longer sitting there waiting for a reply, checking your phone, hoping for a different outcome. You're not stuck in the cycle of needing validation. You've closed the door on your own terms. And trust me, folks, that's when they start feeling it. Because the absence of drama, the absence of emotion, the absence of chasing, that's what makes them feel the loss. And once they realize that door is actually closed, that's when the regret starts creeping in. So, Stoic friends, if you're ready to walk away with strength, if you're done with chasing and ready to hold your ground, drop a comment below and type, "I choose silence." Say it, believe it, and start living it. And if you're serious about this, hit that subscribe button and stick around, because what happens next? That's when they truly start to notice your absence. And that's when the tables turn. Let's keep going. Number 3. The void. When they start to notice. Hey folks, this is the part they never see coming. The moment when your absence finally catches up to them. At first, they thought they had all the control. They assumed they could walk away without looking back, that they could move on effortlessly. They convinced themselves that you were just another chapter in their story. But then, something shifts. See, breakups don't hit all at once. They hit in waves. And the first wave, that's nothing. It's just relief. It's freedom. It's the excitement of something new. They're out with friends. They're distracting themselves. They're acting like life is better without you. And from the outside, it might even seem like they've won. But that's only temporary. Because real loss isn't felt in the moment. It's felt in the silence. It's felt in the spaces you used to fill. And that's exactly what starts happening. At first, it's subtle. They wake up one morning, and something just feels different. Maybe it's quiet. Maybe they reach for their phone out of habit, only to realize there's nothing there. No messages from you, no calls, no check-ins, and for the first time, it actually hits them. Now, they won't admit it right away. They'll brush it off, tell themselves they're fine. But as the days pass, the void you left starts to grow. Because, folks, here's the truth. People only take others for granted when they assume they'll always be there. As long as they believe you're still watching, still waiting, still holding on to hope, they feel no urgency. But when they realize you've truly disappeared, that's when the regret begins. They start noticing the small things. How no one texts them good morning anymore. How their notifications don't light up with your name. How they don't have anyone to vent to share their random thoughts with, to rely on when life gets tough. And suddenly, they miss you. But here's where it gets interesting. They don't miss you all at once. It creeps up on them slowly, in unexpected moments. Maybe they hear a song that reminds them of you. Maybe they pass by a place where you used to go together. Maybe they see something funny and instinctively want to share it, only to realize you're gone. And that's when they start checking. They look at your social media, hoping to see a glimpse of what you've been up to. They scroll through old messages, trying to remember how things used to feel. Maybe they even type out a message, just to see how it feels, but they don't send it. Not yet, because right now, they're just realizing what they lost. The full weight of it hasn't hit them completely, but it will. And here's the ironic part. You're not even thinking about them anymore. By the time they truly start to feel the void, you've already started moving forward. You've stopped waiting. You've stopped hoping for closure. You've started investing in yourself, rebuilding, becoming someone stronger than you were before. And this is where the power shift happens. Because now, they're the ones feeling uncertain. They're the ones wondering if they made a mistake. They're the ones questioning whether they should reach out. But the truth is, they're not ready yet. Right now, they're just noticing. But soon, they'll start acting. And that's where things get really interesting. So, Stoic friends, if you've ever been at this stage, if you've ever stepped back and watched someone finally start to feel your absence, drop a comment below and type, "They feel the void." Say it, own it, and remind yourself that your silence is powerful. And if you're ready for what happens next, hit that subscribe button and stick around. Because once they start feeling the void, the next stage is inevitable. That's when they start reaching out. And trust me, that's when everything changes. Let's keep going. Number 4, the glow up. Becoming the person they lost. Hey folks, this is where things start to take a turn. Not for them, but for you. They felt the void. They started questioning. But now it's time for the part they never expected. The glow up. And let me be clear, this isn't about revenge. This isn't about making them regret losing you. This is about stepping into the strongest, most powerful version of yourself. See, most people handle breakups the wrong way. They get stuck in the cycle of overthinking, replaying old conversations, questioning what went wrong. They keep checking social media, looking for signs, hoping for some kind of validation that they still matter. But the ones who truly move forward, the ones who reclaim their power, they use the pain as fuel. At first, your glow-up starts small. Maybe you stop checking your phone as much. Maybe you sleep better. Maybe, for the first time in a long time, you feel lighter. And as the days pass, that feeling grows. You stop waiting for closure. You stop needing answers. Instead, you redirect all that energy back into yourself. And here's where things get really interesting. You start focusing on you in a way you never did before. You hit the gym not to prove anything, but because feeling strong makes you powerful. You start taking better care of yourself, not to impress anyone, but because you deserve it. You level up your mindset, not because you want them to notice, but because you refuse to be the same person who once settled for less. And here's the crazy part. The less you care, the more they start paying attention. See, they expected you to be stuck. They assumed you'd always be watching, waiting, hoping. But when they see you thriving, when they realize you've evolved into someone even stronger, even more confident, that's when it really hits them. Now, let me be clear. The glow-up isn't just physical. It's mental. It's emotional. It's about becoming untouchable. Think about it. They once had access to you. They once knew your energy, your kindness, your attention. They took it for granted because, in their mind, you weren't going anywhere. But when they see you now, unbothered, focused, glowing with a confidence they never noticed before, that's when they feel the loss. Because here's the truth, folks. People don't regret losing you when you're still lingering in their shadow. They regret losing you when you step into a light they can't reach anymore. Imagine this. They run into you months later, expecting to see someone who's still affected, still caught up in what happened. But instead, they see someone they barely recognize. Someone who doesn't even flinch at their presence. That's the moment they realize they lost you for good. They start asking themselves, did I make a mistake? They wonder, was this person always this strong? But by the time those thoughts hit, you've already moved on. And that's the real power move. Your glow-up isn't about them. It never was. It's about becoming the kind of person who never looks back. And when you reach that level, you don't need closure. You don't need validation. You don't even need them to notice, because your life is already better without them in it. And that's when you truly win. So, Stoic friends, if you're done looking back and you're ready to step into your power, drop a comment below and type, I choose myself. Say it, believe it, and live it. And if you're serious about this transformation, hit that subscribe button and stick around. Because what happens next? That's when they start reaching out. And trust me, that's when things get really interesting. Let's keep going. Number 5, the echo, when they start reaching out. Hey folks, this is the moment we've been building up to. The moment they start reaching out. And trust me, when it happens, it's not by accident. It's not just some random, hey, how have you been? Message. No, this is the moment when your absence starts echoing in their life. See, people always think they have time. They assume they can walk away, explore other options, live their life, and you'll still be there. They convince themselves that even if you're quiet for a while, at some point, you'll break. That you'll eventually reach out. That you'll miss them enough to come back. But when you don't, that's when the panic sets in. At first, they brush it off. Maybe they assume you're just playing hard to get. that you're doing the whole silent treatment thing just to get a reaction. But then days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, and the more time passes, the more they realize you're actually gone. And that's when they start testing the waters. It always starts subtly. Maybe they like one of your old posts. Maybe they send a casual message that means nothing on the surface, but is really just their way of checking if they still have access to you. Something simple, like, "Hey, hope you're doing well. Just saw something that reminded me of you. How's life been?" And here's where most people make a mistake. They respond too quickly. They see the message, their heart skips a beat, and suddenly they're right back in that old emotional space. But let's stop for a second. What's really happening here? They're not reaching out because they suddenly realized your worth. They're reaching out because they feel the shift. They're reaching out because they're wondering if you've really moved on. And the biggest mistake you can make? Proving to them that you haven't. Because here's the truth. If someone truly valued you, they wouldn't have put themselves in a position to lose you in the first place. And now that they feel the silence, now that they feel the space you left behind, they're not reaching out to make things right. They're reaching out to see if they still have a hold on you. So what do? You don't react. You don't fall into old patterns. You don't give them the satisfaction of knowing they still affect you. Because when you do that, something powerful happens. You flip the dynamic. Before, you were the one waiting, overthinking, wondering if they'd ever reach out. But now, you hold all the control. Now, you get to decide whether they get a response. Now, you get to decide whether they even deserve a place in your life anymore. And the moment you realize that, you free yourself. Because at the end of the day, you don't need their text. You don't need their attention. You don't even need their apology. What you needed was time. Time to step back, to heal, to see things for what they really are. And now that you have that clarity, you'll never let yourself go back to who you were before. So, Stoic friends, if you've ever had someone reach out after disappearing, if you've ever had to decide whether to respond or let them feel the silence, drop a comment below and type, "I choose my peace." Say it, own it, and remind yourself that not every message deserves a reply. And if you're ready for what happens next, hit that subscribe button and stick around, because what's coming next? That's when the regret really starts to hit. And trust me, that's where the real lesson begins. Let's keep going. Number 6. The regret. When they see you moved on. Hey folks, this is the part that really stings. Not for you, but for them. They thought they had it all figured out. They thought they could walk away, do their thing, and maybe, just maybe, you'd still be there, waiting, lingering, keeping the door open for them. But now they realize they were dead wrong. See, regret doesn't hit when they leave. It doesn't even hit when they first reach out. It doesn't happen when they feel a little lonely, when they wonder about you late at night, or when they scroll through your old messages. No, the real regret? It happens when they see, with their own eyes, that you've moved on. Because in their mind, they always assumed you'd be available. They always thought that, deep down, you'd still be thinking about them. That even if you weren't reaching out, you were still watching, still waiting for the chance to reconnect. They thought they had time. But then, something happens. They see you again. Maybe they run into you unexpectedly. Maybe they see a picture of you glowing, looking more confident than ever. Maybe they hear your name in conversation and realize that someone else is now taking the place they once had in your life. And in that moment, it hits them like a brick wall, because this isn't just about missing you. This is about realizing that they lost something they can never get back. At first, they try to brush it off. It's nothing. I'm fine. But then, it keeps creeping back into their mind. They start comparing. They start replaying old memories, realizing all the little things they once took for granted. The way you laughed at their jokes, the way you showed up when they needed you, the way you cared, not just with words, but with actions. And now, that's all gone. See, people don't regret losing you while they still think they have access to you. As long as they believe you'd still respond, that you still care, they don't feel the weight of their decision. But when they realize that door is closed, that's when regret turns into something they can't escape. They start second-guessing everything. They wonder, what if I had done things differently? What if I had just appreciated them more? But here's the thing, they didn't. And now they have to live with that. Because here's the truth, Stoic friends, regret isn't just about missing you. It's about knowing they had something real, something rare, and they threw it away. And the worst part for them? They can't do anything about it now. Because, see, it's not just about losing you. It's about seeing you thrive without them. It's about watching you laugh, seeing you succeed, noticing that you're happier than ever. And they're no longer part of that. They start wondering if they should say something, if they should reach out, if they should try to fix things. But deep down, they know it's too late. Because by the time they realize your worth, you've already realized it yourself. And that's when it finally sinks in. They thought they had time. They thought they could come back whenever they wanted. But now, they're just another person who let you slip away. So, Stoic friends, if you've ever reached this stage, if you've ever seen someone realize your worth too late, drop a comment below and type, "Too late now." Say it, believe it, and remind yourself that their regret is not your problem. And if you're serious about stepping into your power, hit that subscribe button and stick around, because what happens next? That's when they finally understand that you are completely unreachable. And trust me, that's when the final shift happens. Let's keep going. Number 7, the unreachable. When they know it's over. Hey folks, this is the moment that truly breaks them. They've gone through every stage, the false confidence, the denial, the void, the regret. They reached out, hoping you'd still be there, hoping that no matter what, they'd always have some level of access to you. But now they know the truth. You are unreachable, and nothing, absolutely nothing, hits harder than that realization. As long as they thought they had a chance, as long as they believed they could walk back into your life whenever they wanted, they never truly felt the loss. In their mind, you were still there, somewhere in the background, still thinking about them, still waiting for them to figure things out. But now, that illusion is gone. Maybe they saw something. Maybe it was a picture of you glowing, thriving, standing taller than ever. Maybe they heard from a mutual friend that you've moved on, that you're genuinely happy, that you don't even mention them anymore. Or maybe, just maybe, they reached out and you didn't answer. And that's when they finally feel it. At first, they try to fight it. They convince themselves it's just temporary, that you're playing hard to get, that if they just try harder, if they say the right thing, they can still get a reaction from you. So they test the waters again. Maybe they send another message, short, casual, like they don't really care. Maybe they try to bring up an old memory, something designed to pull you back emotionally. They might even do something dramatic, something desperate, just to see if you'll respond. But this time, nothing happens. You don't react. You don't give them the satisfaction of knowing they still affect you. You don't block them. You don't argue. You don't even engage. You just don't care anymore. And that silence is louder than any words you could ever say. For the first time, they're the ones feeling abandoned. They're the ones overthinking. They're the ones wondering if they made the biggest mistake of their life. They thought they had control. They thought they were the ones who had the upper hand. who got to decide when and if they wanted to return. But now, that decision is no longer theirs to make. Because the real moment of loss doesn't happen when you walk away. It happens when they realize they can never come back. They start feeling everything you once felt. They experience the doubt, the longing, the emptiness. They go to text you only to stop themselves because they know they don't have the right to anymore. And that's the moment it sinks in. It's too late. See, this isn't just about them missing you. It's about them realizing that even if they could get another chance, you're no longer the person who would give it to them. You've outgrown them. You've stepped into your power. You've become someone stronger, someone wiser, someone who doesn't need the validation of the past. And now, they're stuck where you left them. Because while they were busy playing games, keeping their options open, thinking they could come and go as they pleased, you evolved. You became someone who no longer looks back. And that's what truly breaks them. So, Stoic friends, if you've ever been in this situation, if you've ever reached the point where someone finally realized they lost you for good, drop a comment below and type, "I am unreachable." Say it. Own it. And remind yourself that you never needed them to realize your worth, because you already did. And if you're serious about never looking back, hit that subscribe button and stick around, because what comes next is the final step. That's when you don't just move on. You master emotional control completely. And trust me, once you reach that level, nothing and no one can ever shake you again. Let's keep going. Number 8. The Stoic Mindset. Mastering emotional control. Hey folks, this is where everything comes together. Up until now, we've talked about how they start to feel the void, how they reach out, how they regret losing you. But here's the real key. None of that matters if you don't master emotional control, because without it, you're still at risk of falling back into old patterns. And if you do that, you lose everything you've worked for. See, most people think strength is about cutting someone off, ignoring them, or acting like they don't care. But real strength? It comes from within. It's not about pretending. It's about genuinely reaching a place where their actions, their words, their presence or absence have no power over you anymore. That's what emotional control really is. At first, this might sound impossible. Maybe you're thinking, how do I just stop caring? How do I stop feeling anything? But that's the mistake most people make. Stoicism isn't about feeling nothing. It's about feeling everything and still choosing how to respond. Imagine this. They finally reach out after all this time. Maybe it's a simple message. Maybe it's a long apology. Maybe it's an attempt to restart what you once had. The old version of you would have reacted emotionally, either with excitement, anger, or desperation for closure. But now you pause. Now you think. Now you realize that you have full control over how you respond. And maybe the best response isn't a response at all. Because the moment you realize that you don't need to reply, that you don't need their validation, that you don't even need closure, that's when you've won. But emotional control isn't just about handling them. It's about handling yourself. How many times have emotions led you to decisions you later regretted? How many times have you texted someone out of impulse, only to wish you hadn't? How many times have you overreacted, given someone too much energy, or let your feelings cloud your judgment? That's why mastering emotional control isn't just about this situation. It's about your life as a whole. Think about the most powerful people in history, the most respected leaders, the ones who are unshaken, no matter what happens. They don't react emotionally. They don't chase. They don't let outside forces dictate their inner state. That's the level of control you're aiming for. But let's be real. This takes practice. You don't wake up one day completely detached. It's a process. You'll have moments of weakness. You'll have times where you catch yourself overthinking. But the difference now, you're aware of it, and that awareness is what will set you apart. So, what does this look like in real life? It means learning to pause before you react. It means learning to sit with discomfort instead of acting on impulse. It means understanding that just because you miss someone doesn't mean you need them. It means recognizing that your emotions are valid, but they don't have to control your actions. And once you master this, you become untouchable. Because now, no one can manipulate you. No one can throw you off balance. No one can break you with their absence, their silence, or their decisions. This is the ultimate power move. Not blocking them, not deleting their messages, not proving anything. Just being so in control of yourself that nothing outside of you can shake you. So, Stoic friends, if you're ready to fully master your emotions and take back your power, drop a comment below and type, "I control my emotions." Say it, believe it, and start living it. And if you're serious about this, hit that subscribe button and stick around, because what happens next? That's the final step. That's when you don't just move on, you become someone who never competes in the first place. Let's keep going. Number 9, the final reflection, the one who never returns. Hey folks, this is it. The final stage. The point where everything becomes crystal clear. Not just for them, but for you. This is when they realize that you're not just ignoring them. You're not just proving a point. You're not just taking time to yourself. You're never coming back. And that's what truly separates you from the rest. See, most people go through these cycles, breaking up, reconnecting, playing the back and forth game, keeping doors half open just in case. But you've evolved past that. You're no longer part of the cycle. And once they realize that, once they understand that you're gone for good, that's when it finally sinks in. At first, they resist it. They tell themselves you just need time. That eventually, you'll get curious. That one day, you'll check in just to see how they're doing. But then, time passes, and you don't. Maybe they see you thriving. Maybe they hear your name in passing. Maybe they scroll through your profile only to realize you've changed completely. Whatever it is, it finally hits them. You're a different person now. And the worst part, they no longer have access to you. That's the difference between someone who moves on and someone who evolves. People who just move on often leave cracks, spaces where the past can still creep in. They still hold on to old connections, still leave doors slightly open. But when you evolve, when you become someone who never looks back, you don't just move on, you outgrow everything that once held you down. And that's something they can't come back from. Because now, they don't just regret losing you, they regret not appreciating you when they had the chance. They regret every little thing they took for granted. They regret not seeing your worth until it was too late. But the real pain isn't just the regret. It's knowing they have to live with it. Because here's the truth. Once someone reaches this level of understanding, they realize that even if they reached out, even if they begged, even if they tried everything, they wouldn't even know who they were talking to anymore. You are no longer the person they once knew. You are no longer the person who would have considered giving them another chance. You are no longer even in the same world as them. And once they understand that, once they see that no amount of words can undo what's already been done, that's when they stop trying. Not because they don't want to, but because they finally understand they lost you forever. And that's where your power truly lies. Because now, they're stuck where you left them, while you're somewhere far beyond their reach. So here's the final reflection. Stoic friends, this journey was never about them. It was always about you. You weren't trying to make them regret. You weren't trying to teach them a lesson. You weren't waiting for them to wake up and chase you. No, you were simply walking toward the life you were always meant to have. And the only reason they feel the way they do now, It's because they were never meant to be part of that life in the first place. And that is what truly separates you from the rest, because you are the one who never returns. All right, folks, that's it. You've made it to the final step, the moment where everything changes, not because they finally realize your worth, but because you do. This journey was never about them. It was about you, your growth, your strength, your ability to walk away without looking back. And now, you've reached a place where their regret, their feelings, their choices, they no longer define you. So if this video resonated with you, if you're done with looking back and ready to step fully into your power, hit that like button, drop a comment below, and type, "I never return." Say it, own it, live it. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a new video on self-mastery, emotional control, and walking through life with the strength of a true Stoic. Until next time, stay strong, stay focused, and remember, real power isn't about making them regret losing you. It's about never needing them to realize it in the first place. See you in the next one.